I've had a number of conversations with a number of physicians lately regarding financial policies. Some will have financial policies for personal injury cases and some for just for their work comp cases, but not financial policies for their practice or for standard insurance or cash patients. Some don't have any financial policies at all or any kind of financial agreement in place that a patient agrees to up front. Let me just tell you, I think that that's not a good idea. We strongly encourage our doctors to have a financial policy in place because let's be honest, I mean, there is this, the side of healthcare that really nobody likes to talk about, and that's the business side. But healthcare is a business. It's how you pay your staff. It's how you pay your mortgage or your rent. It's also how, of course, you live and how you support your family. So, the finances side, the business side of things is really, really important. So the financial agreement or financial policy is also really, really important. It's important for a number of things. One, it protects you as the physician and your business practices to eliminate any kind of concern or any kind of question is exactly what is your office policy. The other is, in this day and age, people want transparency. They want to know exactly what is going on. They want to know what they're going to be charged for, when they're going to be charged for it, and they want to know what the rules are. They don't want to operate kind of blind. And so financial policies or financial agreements are very important, and we strongly encourage you to do that. There are some experts out there that say that there's really no need for that. Sometimes it's because, doctors aren't going to use them anyway because they're not going to send the patient to collections or they're not going to collect interest or anything along those lines. But again, you provide a good and valuable service. For those who've known me for a number of years know that I say this all the time. You provide a good and valuable service, you deserve to be paid for it. And so you want to make sure that you have clearly laid out exactly what the policies are to your patients. They understand what they are. Financial policies are important. So what do you put in your financial policy? Well, I'm going to talk about these things in the coming weeks. I'm going to try to give you a good picture of what should be in there. I'm going to reference you to the right articles on our website to be able to give you templates and things along those lines to structure financial policies. But the first and foremost is you want to have one that really covers your whole practice and what your overall financial policies are. And you want to make sure that the patient knows that up front and also agrees to it by signing it. That's very important. Protects you, protects the patient, gives full transparency to that patient and what they expect. Patients don't like surprises, right? So the fewer surprises that they have, the stronger your relationship's going to be with that patient. And we're also seeing this growing trend where even governmental entities are getting involved in this whole transparency right now. You'll see a lot of discussions surrounding hospital groups and insurance companies and the federal government in regards to posting of fees, and which is a very, very interesting topic. If you're interested, take a look at it. But all of these things surround transparency and finances, right? So let's be transparent. Let's give a financial agreement right up front. Things that you're going to include. Well, you want to make sure that it's really ultimately clear that the patient is responsible for this bill. And that way, if there's any confusion with the insurance company, if the insurance company deems something to be not covered, not just that it's experimental, investigational, and you can't charge the patient, but it's fully not covered, then you already have a policy in place so the patient knows, or at least has agreed to, pay for that service. That's very important. Other things is, what else happens in the insurance world? By the way, the financial policy is important for both for the insurance practice as well as the cash practice. It's critical. In fact, it may even be more critical for the cash practice. But on the insurance side of things, you want to make sure that the patient understands what their responsibility is, how assignment of benefits work. You want to make sure that they understand when they have to pay their copays and deductible. Also, if they don't pay them, how are you going to charge interest and things along those lines? You want to make sure that you also cover, what if you have somebody that doesn't have insurance? So your uninsured patients, what is your policy in that regard? What about other billing and payment questions? What method of payments will you accept? As you check, credit card, cash, what do you accept at your front desk? That can also and should also be laid out in your financial agreement and policy that you put in place with your patient right up front. Other things, again, when do they pay? What about the condition of their outstanding? When do you start charging interest? How much interest is it going to be? We have some articles on that as well to help you determine exactly what that interest rate is to make sure that you stay within usury laws here in Illinois. Additionally, you have to notify the patient, by the way, in advance if you're going to charge them interest. So it needs to be in a financial policy. That's another critical part. Also, are you planning on sending them to collections? who's going to pay that agency fee. That can also be put into the financial agreement that the patient signs, again, right up front. Other things that matter. What about missed appointments? What about the chronically late? How much do you charge for these things, and do you have something in place to at least give incentive to the patient to adhere to their appointments and to canceling appointments or rescheduling appointments or being chronically late? What is that agreement? Those are elements that also should be in there. What about medical records copying? And this is a myriad of problems in and of itself because of the complexity surrounding right of access and authorizations and HIPAA. We're going to be covering that here in the coming couple of months in regards to exactly what that looks like for your office, because that continues to kind of change as they empower the patient to be able to obtain their records. And lastly, then in that financial agreement, what else? What about other forms that you may have to fill out for the patient? How much are you going to charge for those forms? What about other professional or expert services that you provide, especially in PI cases and work comp? Now, that is kind of your overall financial policy. Of course, you can always have additional requirements for your work comp patients and PI patients that they would sign separately, but you should have a financial agreement in place for your entire practice for all of your patients. We strongly recommend that. We'll catch you next week with quite a bit more information, and take care.